Vanished, The Disappearance of Madeleine McCann, Part 3. The Theories, What Really Happened to Madeleine McCann. Welcome to Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's true crime podcast, World Cold Case Thursdays. I'm your host, Nicoll of Nicoll Investigations, and today we're exploring the various theories surrounding the mysterious disappearance of Madeleine McCann. In the 17 years since she vanished from the Ocean Club Resort in Portugal, countless theories have emerged, some plausible, others far-fetched. Today we'll break down the most discussed possibilities, looking at the evidence and facts that support or challenge each one. But one of these theories hold the truth. Theory 1. Abduction by a stranger. Let's start with a theory that most people initially believed. Madeleine McCann was abducted by a stranger. This theory suggests that a predator entered the McCann's apartment while she slept, removed her silently, and vanished into the night. It's a horrifying scenario, but sadly it's one of the most common explanations for missing children. This theory stems from the assumption that an opportunistic kidnapper either saw Madeleine during the McCann family's vacation or targeted the family based on the routine of leaving the children unattended while dining. One of the key pieces of evidence supporting this theory is the eyewitness account of Jane Tanner, a member of the Tapas 7, who reported seeing a man carrying a small child in the vicinity of the McCann apartment around 9:15 p.m. on the night of May 3rd. The idea of a stranger abduction has been heavily supported by law enforcement and the media. Early on, the Polícia Judiciária, the Portuguese police, as well as the British police, leaned into this possibility. However, it raises key questions. How did the abductor manage to get in and out without leaving significant forensic evidence? And why was Madeleine targeted specifically? We know from cases of stranger abductions that opportunists often take advantage of vulnerable situations. But in this case, the timing, access, and the sheer luck it would have taken to slip in unnoticed in such a short window, this raises serious doubts. Is it possible that the abductor was familiar with the area or even the family's schedule? Hard to ignore the unsettling possibility that someone had been watching the McCanns during their stay. But despite widespread searches and appeals, no solid leads have ever been linked to this theory. Theory 2. Human trafficking. Another theory that has been widely speculated upon is that Madeleine was taken as part of a human trafficking operation. Trafficking, particularly of children, is a global issue, and Portugal has historically been identified as a transit country for trafficked individuals. Those who believe in the trafficking theory point to the fact that Madeleine, as a blonde-haired, blue-eyed child, might be seen as a desirable target for illegal adoption or other nefarious purposes. There have been sporadic reports of potential Madeleine sightings in countries like Morocco, Spain, and even as far away as South America, all of which suggest she might have been trafficked to another country shortly after her abduction. Trafficking is a chilling theory, one that fits within a larger organized crime narrative. Many experts in child abduction cases acknowledge that traffickers could have been operating in the area. However, trafficking operations usually target children from unstable environments, not necessarily from well-known tourist destinations. Despite extensive international cooperation, none of these sightings have been confirmed to be Madeleine. No evidence such as ransom demands or communications has surfaced to suggest she was taken for trafficking purposes. Human trafficking is an undeniable global issue. Madeleine's case doesn't fit the typical profile. Traffickers generally don't target high-profile cases that attract this level of media attention. Theory 3. The accident theory. Parental involvement. The most controversial theory, and one that dominated the early investigation, is that Madeleine's parents, Kate and Jerry McCann, were somehow involved in her disappearance, either directly or in covering up an accidental death. Portuguese police initially investigated this theory after finding what they claimed were inconsistencies in the McCann statements. Some investigators believed that Madeleine may have died in the apartment, perhaps accidentally, and that her parents, panicking, decided to hide her body and stage an abduction. The infamous cadaver dog evidence was a major factor in this theory. In 2007, British sniffer dogs brought to Portugal alerted to the scent of a cadaver in the McCann's apartment in the boot of their rental car, which a family used weeks after Madeleine's disappearance. This theory caused a media storm and divided public opinion. The idea that the parents, educated, well-respected doctors, could be involved shocked many. However, no physical evidence has ever definitively linked the McCanns to Madeleine's disappearance. The cadaver dog evidence, while intriguing, is not foolproof. Critics argue that the dog's alerts could have been triggered by something else entirely, and no DNA evidence was found to corroborate their findings. The McCanns have always vehemently denied any involvement and were eventually cleared as suspects by Portuguese and British authorities. The accident theory is deeply flawed. The idea that two parents could orchestrate such a cover-up in a foreign country under immense pressure and manage to mislead not just investigators but the world seems implausible. Their behavior is consistent with innocent parents desperate to find their child. Theory 4. Christian Bruckner and the Predator Theory. In 2020, the case took a new turn when German authorities identified Christian Bruckner, a convicted sex offender, as a prime suspect in Madeleine's disappearance. Bruckner was known to have lived in the Algarve region at the time and has a criminal record of sexual offenses against children. German investigators have said they have concrete evidence linking Bruckner to Madeleine's abduction, although they have yet to reveal this evidence publicly. Bruckner was already serving time for other crimes, including the rape of a 72-year-old woman in Pré de Luz, near where Madeleine disappeared. Bruckner's presence in the area, combined with his criminal history, make this theory one of the most compelling in recent years. However, authorities have remained tight-lipped against the exact nature of the evidence they have against him. Despite claims of new evidence, no charges have yet been filed in relation to Madeleine's disappearance. Some question whether Bruckner is being used as a scapegoat to close a case that has frustrated authorities for over a decade. Bruckner is a viable suspect, given his history and proximity to the crime. However, without hard evidence, it remains a theory. The longer it takes for German authorities to reveal this so-called concrete evidence, the more skepticism will grow. Theory 5. Madeleine wandered off. Lastly, there's the theory that perhaps Madeleine wasn't abducted at all, but instead wandered off from the apartment. Some believe she may have woken up disoriented and gone looking for her parents, only to encounter a tragic accident or foul play along the way. This theory is largely speculative, but would explain why no clear evidence of an abduction has ever been found. Supporters of this theory argue that the window and doors were accessible, and Madeleine, a curious 30-year-old, could have easily walked out of the apartment on her own. While this theory seems plausible, it struggles to account for why no trace of Madeleine has ever been found. If she had wandered off, surely a witness or search team would have discovered some sign of her, especially in such a populated area. While children wandering off can lead to tragic outcomes, scale of the search efforts and the immediate alertness of her parents make this theory unlikely. What really happened to Madeleine? Each of these theories offers a possible explanation for what happened to Madeleine McCann, but the truth remains elusive. Could she have been taken by a stranger, trafficked out of the country, or tragically died in an accident? Or could the recent suspicions around Christian Bruckner finally offer the answers her family's been searching for? As we've seen, the evidence supporting each theory is incomplete, leaving the world still grasping for answers after all these years. What we do know is that the disappearance of Madeleine McCann has changed the landscape of missing persons investigations forever. But will the full truth ever come to light? Next week, in our final episode of our look into the disappearance of Madeleine McCann, we'll delve into the recent developments in the case, including the investigation of Christian Bruckner, a convicted criminal linked to the area where Madeleine disappeared. Thank you for listening. This has been Ontario Cold Cases, Canada's true crime podcast, available wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.